Hey, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. And so we're going to be talking about eSIM and why there's so much talk about eSIM to kind of break it down for those people who are just not really sure what's going on. Um, so within a nutshell, I've had the pleasure of using eSIM with services. So as a matter of fact, I'm using two of the phones right now, and that would be my Pixel 4 and my Pixel 3a. Both of these were, well, Pixel 3 had eSIM support, but these two, well, mainly the 3a was the first to have DSDS support, which means dual SIM, dual standby. So you utilize both the physical and eSIM. Same with the Pixel 4 and going forward. And so, yeah, eSIM basically just allows you to download the profile for connection to the carrier's network. And for me, it's never really been a tough thing because I've used mostly on Google Fi, and Google Fi makes it so much easy to just download and install basically your profile from Google Fi to use the eSIM. So there's not really a whole lot you need to do. You don't really need to contact the carrier. It's everything's done through the app, and so that's why I've never really looked at eSIM to be that troublesome until I tried to activate on Metro by T-Mobile. Metro by T-Mobile, Cricket, Boost Mobile, and other prepaid carriers and MVNOs are stepping into eSIM activation, so you could be expecting that in the coming year. And yeah, all this, all it really is just basically your services connected to a device with a SIM card that is embedded in the phone. So it's not a physical card that you've got to remove all the time. And so, yeah, the big benefit that I look at eSIM is that it makes it a little bit harder for someone to steal your phone, especially if they're trying to swipe it and trying to like pull a SIM card out so there's no connection until they can get to somebody they know that can do some things with the phone. With eSIM, it's going to have a connection, and without having the password or PIN to get into a phone means you can't really disable a lot of features, especially the data connection. So you'd have to keep the phone completely powered off, which then, you know what, it's pointless to like steal the phone because then the phone is paperweight to you. So what the hell are you going to do with it? And it makes it easy for people to actually track it, right? Whether you're, using Find My iPhone or you're using a Find My Phone on Android, you can track it as long as the phone is on. And so that's one of the big pluses of having eSIM, is that there's no physical SIM card to remove to disable a network connection to the phone. And that's pretty much like about it. And it saves on companies having to print up cards with SIM cards, SIM chips inside of them, right? Because that's what we do. We use the it's a card, right? And when we're done with these SIM cards, they kind of get tossed. I don't toss my Google Fi SIM cards because they're actually reusable. Like as long as if you cancel service with Google Fi and you remove the connection to a physical SIM card from Google Fi, then there's no account, no profile connected to that physical SIM card on Google Fi. You can reuse it on a different Google Fi account. You can just activate a new line of service, use that SIM card if you need to, if your device doesn't support eSIM. So yeah, but other than that, most people end, these SIM cards end up in the landfill. They end up getting tossed away and whatnot. And so I can kind of see where people are like kind of going that eco-friendly stuff. I mean, hey, totally cool, totally fine, whatever it is. But here's the thing about it. When it comes to eSIM, because the iPhone 14s here in the US do not have a physical SIM tray. So there's no physical SIM card you're going to put into an iPhone 14. So if you were thinking about upgrading from the iPhone 13 to the iPhone 14 and you don't want to go eSIM, well, then you're basically out of luck. Because the only way that's going to happen is that you're going to have to go and activate on eSIM. Now, you can go from eSIM back to physical SIM depending on the circumstances, but it's going to be very annoying if you're someone that's swapping phones out, like you swap your socks out every day. That's going to be very annoying, and you're eventually going to get tired of doing that. So then your main SIM is going to end up being in your iPhone 14 anyways. And I think that's the plan that Apple had, was making sure that the iPhone 14s stay as your permanent driver. Apple is all about keeping you in the ecosystem. It's no secret. Anyone that takes offense to it is a fool, because it's not even a negative thing. It's something that we already know. Apple's not hiding it. They know what they're doing. Like when Tim Cook literally said to the guy, tell your mom to buy an iPhone. Because they were talking about the whole, when is Apple's iMessage going to support RCS or link with RCS to make it, cross-platform messaging much better and safer and encrypted. And he was just like, tell your mom to buy an iPhone. Like, Apple's no stranger to just literally telling you guys, like, you guys are staying. Like, once we hook you, we're going to make sure our hooks sink in deep. so that if you even try to leave, it's going to hurt you when you try to leave. That's Apple's approach to everything, and you can't really knock them on it. That's how they run business. They're aggressive with it. Um, so yeah, I mean, switching out from eSIM to physical SIM back to eSIM is going to be a pain in the butt to do that. So they know that their iPhones is going to stay mostly as a daily driver for anybody out there, really. Um, and I think the biggest kickback or pushback that we're getting from a lot of people is not so much that it's eSIM. I don't think people really care that it's eSIM supported or whatnot. I think the biggest problem when it comes to Apple, decision to remove the SIM card in the iPhone 14 is it's forcing people to do it that way. A lot of people don't like to be told what to do, even though they allow themselves to be told what to do. I know that kind of sounds stupid to say that, but that's the realization of things. If someone knew they were being forced to do something, they're going to push back. But if they were finessed to do something that someone or something told them to do, they were more likely to do it without question. So that's the thing there. There's no finesse. It's just simple, just, hey, iPhone 14s, no SIM card support. eSIM only, and that kind of stung to a lot of people, but it could have died down quickly. But then all of a sudden it was like the international models will have some support. So it's like when you have reviewers from Canada getting their iPhone 14 Pros and showing that they have a SIM card slot, and then people are like, hey, well, what the hell? It's kind of crazy. I mean, eSIM is not terrible. Okay, I'm sure there's always going to be room for improvement in technology such as that, but it's not terrible. And you know what? Like, I think the fear that people have right now and what everyone's waiting to see is if other OEMs, i.e. Google and Samsung, are going to follow the same thing and just do eSIM only and completely do away with physical SIM. And then what that would mean, because if they did that, then it actually would open up market space for companies like Motorola and OnePlus and them, as long as they choose to keep a physical SIM support, then the chances, would look good for them. To those who absolutely have to have a physical SIM card slot. I think people's approach, how they're looking at this, is the same way they're looking at the death of the SD card, right? Like, certain companies started ditching away doing SD card and made everything reliable, or make it reliant on internal storage and cloud storage. And some certain companies still maintained, holding on to the SD card slot, SD card support, eventually moving into that. I think that's what people's fear is that it may not happen this year, that other OEMs completely copy Apple with no physical SIM support, but they're afraid that in the next 2 years or so, that's going to become the realization of thing, and everything's going to all be eSIM supported. And for content creators on YouTube, that's obviously going to be like a hard thing, especially if you have to contact your carrier to switch devices. Well, your carrier is going to get sick and tired of you contacting them like 5 times a month because you're going to be swapping devices, i.e. T-Mobile. At least from what I know, Metro by T-Mobile requires you to have to go in. I think AT&T is more lenient on things. You just pop your SIM into another phone and it just works. There's no IMEI update that's needed, but hey, who knows? All that stuff can change. So as I stated, right now, it is what it is. And for these two, and that's weird because I did not plan this. I put both my SIMs in the Pixel 4 and 3A and realized that they both came out the same year. I forgot that they came out in 2019, with the 3A coming out in May of 2019 and the Pixel 4 coming out in October of 2019. So kind of funny, but yeah, I just had those for just because the 3A was the first one to have DSDS support with eSIM and physical SIM, and the Pixel 3 didn't have that. So it was kind of strange. The 3 didn't have it, but the 3A ended up getting it. It's one of those crazy things. Let me know what you guys' thoughts are about eSIM. If you guys are for it or against it, let me know in the comment section of the video. If you guys enjoyed this video, smash the like button. Thanks so much for checking it out. I'll talk to you on the next one. As always, peace.